Hello. Hello, people. Let's turn down the music, or turn it up rather. And wait just a moment. Happy Tuesday. La, 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 la. Get a little sip of water, because I'm kind of thirsty. Whew. All right. Okay, so I am. Let me move this out the way. Blah. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I think I'm crooked. Yep. Oh, got too close. There we go. All right, I'm going to get started. So, hello everybody. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Ariel Jones, and excuse me, I have been doing spoken word pieces since I was about performing them really about 15, and then I started writing them when I was 10, and got inspired to write spoken word and things like that. Don't know what that was, but yeah, I was doing spoken word. My eye. Doing spoken word pieces and things like that, like when I was in high school, and got inspired to do it, by God and things like that. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little spoken word, and then we're going to talk about some things. So I'm gonna go ahead and pray, and then we're gonna get started. All right. Dear God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings, Lord, that you have given to us. Thank you, oh God, for your peace. Thank you for your love. Thank you for just your understanding. And thank you, God, just for every big and small gift that you will give to us, and the ones that we've already received. And I thank you, oh God, for those who will be listening today, and for those who will be listening in the future. And this day is blessed. And let hearts and minds be open to receive from you today. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So, some of you may know that I have been doing spoken word and things like that for a little while. And last year, I was going through a lot of anxiety and depression and things like that. And my eyelash is doing something. Okay, there we go. It looked funny. It probably still does, but you know what? I don't care right now. I'm getting hot. Woo! Getting hot. Where's my fan? I don't know where it went. Okay, but anyway, whew, Lord have mercy. It's hot today. Whew. I'm glad I didn't record outside. Would have been a mess. Okay, but anyway, went through some anxiety and some depression and things like that last year, and my mentor was like, well, since you're a writer, why don't you write about it? And I was like, how am I supposed to do that? Because I'm having anxiety and depression. I can't think about anything. But lo and behold, I wrote down, what God told me to write down. And I got a lot of different things written down in this book here. And I've been saying it in a lot of my other videos that I've done before. It's just interesting that most of the poems and spoken word pieces that are in here, I didn't write them this year. It was like either last year, or I'll look at a piece that I did like when I was in high school, and it applies to, whatever I'm going to talk about, for today. And so today's little piece is actually an interesting one. I wrote this piece is called Palpitate Test. And basically, at the time when I wrote this, I was going through one thing after the other, one test after another, back to back. Thought one test was finished. Oh, look, there's another one. I was like, oh, shoot. Oh, look, there's another one. Why am I going through all of this? What's the purpose, and why? What for? How long is this going to last? What time will it stop? Especially the time. I was like, okay, when is this going to stop? I'm done with this. I'm ready to be finished. So that's why I wrote this. It's called a Palpitate Test. And some of you may be able to identify with this. Pitter patter goes your heart through a test. Will this ever end? Will you ever get rest? One question after another. Did you study? You thought you did. But then another question comes and slaps you on the head. Wait, didn't you just find the answer to pain and pressure? What's going on? Not sure. Clearly, the test isn't over for you yet. So stand strong. Your needs will be met. In time, all will be revealed. Get ready. You're about to be healed. Get ready. You're about to be free. Get ready. You're about to have the victory. Get ready. You're about to pass. This pain you feel, it won't last. The word says, my peace I give unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John 14:27. Don't you see that? You've got help. Personally from heaven. Don't give up. And don't you fear. The mess you're going through is about to get out of here. Romans 8:28. Whew. Like I said before, when I wrote that piece, man, it was a crazy time. Whew. Going through test after test after test, back to back to back to back. I was like, Lord, I'm getting attacked here, there, down there, up there, that way, this way. I was like, I can't figure it out. I don't know what's going on. But God is faithful, and He got me through all of that. And it was in His timing. And time is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So, if you watched my video last week, you already know that we talked about being born for this. Okay? And you don't have anything to prove because you were born for this. The prime example that we discussed was the fictional character Captain Marvel from the Marvel Universe. We discussed how she had different powers and gifts and talents, if you will, that could change the world. But she was told not to use them due to the fact that her family, aka captors, were actually afraid of her power and they wanted to control her. We flipped her story and then we made it personal for you and for me. And we asked ourselves some questions. What talents or gifts were you told not to use? Have you ever felt limited or uncomfortable because your gifts were being tampered with or suppressed? And questions like, how can you find out what your gifts are and what they're supposed to be used for? There's so much more in that segment. And if you missed it, that particular video, please go back to my page and watch. It is definitely still there. So we're in a new month. We're in July. June is over. June was awesome. It was amazing. I hope you were blessed because I sure was. It was definitely something new for me because I've never done anything like that before. And I feel a little bit more comfortable, doing this a little bit. So I hope you were blessed by it. So for the month of July, or at least for this week, I don't know if it's going to be the entire month, but we're stepping out of the Marvel Universe and we are going to take a trip to the DC world. This segment is actually called When the Time Was Right. The character we shall discuss is my personal favorite. Someone who's faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, who's able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman. Yes, Superman. I mean, for those who don't know who Superman is, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe go get some culture or something. I don't know. But anyway, yes, the Man of Steel. We are looking at that particular movie from 2013. Wow, that was 6 years ago. Wow, 6 years ago. Great movie. Okay, let's get right into it. So, we're talking about time, when the time was right, okay? Now, in the beginning of the movie, we see a woman giving birth to a baby boy naturally. The word naturally is very important here. Naturally. No drugs, anything. Not an easy feat, from what I'm told. Also, there is a power struggle on the planet Krypton, where this woman is having her baby, okay? And it's between two very important characters. One, General Zod, and a scientist called Jor-El. Now, the planet is dying for whatever reason. Don't know why, but the scientist Jor-El, he found out that the planet is dying. Okay, and so because of this information, he's telling as many people as he can that the planet is dying. So everybody knows, or at least knows from the scientist guy, that the planet is dying, but nobody's really taking him seriously. And so Zod and Jor-El, they were kind of friends at first, but then their interests kind of got in the way, and they saw two different things. And so each of them are trying to save the planet in their own way. Zod is trying to take over the planet by force, by overthrowing the government and just trying to run things and make things go the way he wants it. But Jor-El, on the other hand, he's trying to find hope on another planet that's suitable for them if they have enough time. But like I said before, nobody's listening to them. But he also has a natural childbirth situation up his sleeve. Natural. Now, up to this point, births on Krypton, they were created by scientific means called the Codex. And that is basically an ancient Kryptonian artifact that decodes basically the makeup of artificial incubated babies on the planet. In other words, it basically decides the destiny of the child before birth, his or her birth. I don't like that. Okay. And Jor-El and his wife Laura, they didn't like that plan either. And so in order to change all that, they wanted to bring hope to Krypton before it was too late. So a natural birth hadn't occurred on their planet for like centuries. But Jor-El and Laura, like I said, they conceived a child, bringing hope. Okay. So after going to the government or local officials or whatever, Jor-El, he kind of goes to them and they're not listening to him. And then Zod comes up there, busts in the joint and everything. And, they don't see eye to eye. Jor-El leaves. He steals the Codex that is like at the core of their planet. And that is basically, like I told you before, that is where the identity of each child is, I guess, kept. And so he takes it because he realizes that the government's not going to help him. They're not going to help find a planet or anything like that. So since he's a scientist, he scientifically absorbs the Codex into his son's DNA. I was like, woo. Now with this in mind, the parents made plans to send baby Cal to another planet because there was no more hope, for their planet, because it was about to be destroyed. It was about to die, and no one was doing anything about it. But they wanted their child to live. They wanted their hopes and dreams to go with their child. So fast forward, Zod finds out what Jor-El and Laura are planning, and so he literally comes to their house with his crew. And in the end, he doesn't convince either one of them to give him the Codex or anything like that. And so he ends up killing Jarrell, and he thinks that the codex is on um Baby Cal's ship, but it is, but he doesn't really know where it is. But it's too late. He can't get to him. Baby Cal is already gone. Zod and his crew are basically imprisoned for life after this. And then a short while later, Krypton is no more, and then it implodes from the inside. 33 years later. A young man named Clark Kent is trying to find out who he is and why he's so different. Have you ever been there? I've been there. I have, and I still live there. I have the same address, and I'm hoping to move soon. I feel different. I just do. Always have. Always been told that. It's just how it is. I feel different. Clark felt different. You may feel different too. But he discovers why he's different. He discovers that he has a power that no one else has. Now, he discovers this when he's a child. Now, Kitty Clark could just about see through anything, including the human body. Freaky. He could also hear everything at the same time, has inhumane strength. I mean, that's a scary thing for a child to happen upon. And needless to say, Kitty Clark freaked out. His parents, Martha and Jonathan Kent, they taught him basically at that time to focus on one thing at a time until he could, master his senses. Now, because of all this new things happening to him and all these new developments and things, his father and his mother too, but mainly his father, told him that he couldn't play with any of the other kids because Clark may accidentally hurt him. And if Clark did something really extravagant, Clark might be taken away. And they didn't want that to happen. And you know how some kids can be. They can be really mean. They do name calling, they be bullying. And so that's exactly what, Clark was experiencing on the daily. He was being bullied, being called names, all that stuff. But he still cared for them, okay? Now, he's a bit older. Skip ahead. He's a bit older now, and he develops this unshakable compassion for people. And he can't help it. It's just there. He just has all this compassion for people. And against his parents' wishes, mainly his father, he goes out of his way to save people without being noticed. He can't help it. His compassion, however, got him noticed for real one day, though. He used his abilities to save his classmates from drowning on a school bus. There was like a school bus crash, and the bus crashed and went over a bridge, and so into the river. And so he saved his classmates, and unfortunately, a few of his classmates saw him do it, and of course they told their parents. Little tattletale snitches, okay? And so this was the last straw, for Clark. He just wanted to help. He went against what his father was saying, but he couldn't help it. And he didn't want his friends or his classmates to die, and he knew he was supposed to keep this side of him a secret. And finally, his father reveals to him that he has alien origins. And he tells him something really important. And he tells him basically, son, you're the answer. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe? And so he's like maybe 12, 13 years old. And so he don't want to hear that. He's like, I don't want to be the answer. And his father's like, well, I don't blame you. And of course, he says it's a huge burden, to have that kind of thing happen for you. But his father also tells him there's a reason that he's here. And he tells him something that everybody can identify with, especially if you're trying to find purpose. His father tells him, and I'm going to read it word for word. He says, but you're not just anyone, Clark. And I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. All these changes that you're going through, one day you're going to think of them as a blessing. When that day comes, you have to make a choice. A choice of whether to stand proud in front of the human race or not. And even if it takes you the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is. That is deep. Have you ever taken out the time to find your reason? Now I'll read that again, because I know, at least for me, like when I was growing up, my parents would tell me, oh, you're not like everybody else, you're different, and basically would have this same kind of speech that Clark's father had with him. And so when he said this, that really resonated with me. And I'm sure it may resonate with you too. Either you had a parent that told you, hey, you're not like everybody else, you have to do things differently, or like a grandparent, a mentor, somebody was in your life telling you this. And I'm going to read it again because it's just real powerful. His father says, but you're not just anyone. And you're not just anyone. And I believe that you were sent here for a reason. Everybody was sent here for a reason. Everybody here on earth right now, 2019, almost 2020, in a few months, you're sent here for a reason. All these changes that you're going through, one day you're going to think of them as a blessing. All the hard stuff that you've been through, it's shaping you for whatever God has planned for you, okay? One day you're going to think of them as a blessing. When that day comes, you have to make a choice. A choice of either to stand proud in front of the human race or not. And even if it takes you the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is. So, Clark is remembering all these things. Fast forward. He's a man now, and he's on this road of discovery, trying to find out who he is, and he takes odd jobs along the way. He never reveals his name, and he hides behind fake IDs, but he can't hide the overwhelming feeling of trying to save people from danger. That's the one thing he cannot hide or ignore. Now, one of the jobs that the movie shows us is that he's a fisherman, or tries to be a fisherman, but he ends up he's real awkward too, just real awkward. But he ended up saving some sailors on a nearby exploding ship. And right after that, he disappeared. He stole some clothes. Yes, Superman stole some clothes. Yes, he did. And he went into another town where he became a server at a local bar. Now, at this particular bar, he's heard some very interesting things from some guys in military getup, okay? And it sounded really alien to him. And so his interest was piqued. Now, however, once again, trouble seems to follow him wherever he goes. So there was a little bit of trouble at the bar, and he had to step in. But this particular time, he could not use his powers at all, because who's at a bar? People. He did not want to show his powers at the bar. So he made himself be bullied, endure the bully session, basically, which made him angry. I mean, it would make anybody angry, but it made him angry. It really made him angry this time. And he messed up this drunk guy's tractor trailer truck, which was hilarious. He took like the light poles and just like stabbed it all through the truck. It was crazy to see. Now, once again, he's on the move because he can't stay at a job long, because somebody always needs help, and he can't help himself. He has to help, and so he has to leave. So he's on the move again, and he remembers what he heard at the bar from the men that were in the military. So somehow, I don't know how, he gets a job to work at the secret military operation where some alien object is supposed to be. And while he's there, he runs into Lois Lane, a reporter from the Daily Planet, who followed him to the alien craft. Sneaky. Now, on this craft, Clark is trying to discover what's going on, but Lois Lane and her sneaky self, she ends up getting hurt because of a guard robot that was there, because she was trying to take a picture, and it flashed, and it freaked out the robot, and then the robot lashed out and hit her. And basically, she was hemorrhaging and everything from the inside. Clark basically crushed the robot and was trying to calm her down and everything. And he basically saves her life at that moment, because he looks and sees that she's hemorrhaging. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to seal this up. And he uses his heat vision, to seal up her wound and everything. Talk about instant pass out time. Because she didn't have any drugs, nothing. He would just like, hold my hand, it's going to hurt. She's like, what? And it was too late. And she screamed and probably passed out. I would have too, and probably you would have too. Now, once she's safe, he takes off on the ship somewhere in the ice country where he can't be detected. Sidebar. Lois Lane writes about her encounter with Clark, but once again, she has no idea who he is. But her boss Perry refuses to publish it. Refuses to publish the story. So instead of just sulking and stuff, she leaks out the story to an unsavory site. And Clark's ID now is out in the open, although he isn't named. Now, back to Clark. He meets his real father, actually his real father's consciousness, Jor-El, and learns that his real name is Kal-El. And he doesn't beat the bush, okay? He immediately asks his father why he was sent to Earth and where he comes from. His time had finally come to find out about his heritage, his background. And Jor-El answered all of his questions and revealed to him that his main purpose there on Earth was to give people hope. That's when Jor-El showed him his new attire that will become a symbol to many. You know, the big S on his chest, you know, that symbol. He said the symbol of the house of El means hope. And embodied with that hope is the fundamental belief in the potential of every person to be a force for good. So, all this is happening, but Clark, you know, he's still like, okay, that's great, Dad. But why am I so different? You know, why am I different from them? And Jor-El is like, well, the sun here on Earth, you know, is much younger than Krypton's, and the radiation from the sun is basically what gives you your supernatural strength, son. And he's like, oh, okay. And so his father encourages him to test his limits. So now he tries to fly with this new information in tow. And, you know, when you first try new things, you're going to crash a little bit. And he did. He crashes, but then he doesn't give up. And he tries again, and he got the hang of it. And so he finds out then that was his purpose, to give people hope. That's what he was supposed to do. So he kind of has a little peace now. But while he's doing all this, the nosy reporter, Lois Lane, is trying to track him down. Like, she's going through all of his history, basically. Finding out, you know, the different stories of guys, you know, doing extraordinary things and then disappearing. She tracked him all the way down to Smallville, Kansas. And she wants to tell his story. She's a reporter. That's what she does. She wants to tell his story. But he tells her no. And then he lets her in on a memory of his father literally risking his life just so Clark can keep his secret. Now, Clark must have been about 18 or maybe early 20s at the time. And he and his father are knee-deep in an argument. And basically, he was like, you're not my father. You can't tell me what to do, blah, 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 blah. If you're adopted, you know, or have like a stepfather, stepmother, step-parent, anything, you know how that is. Like, you're not you can't tell me, no. And that's exactly what Clark was going through. And so they're having this discussion in the truck with the mom and the dog. It's looks like it's about to storm and everything outside. And so, you know, the mom is like, what are you doing? And then, like, the storm, it gets worse. And so the dad's like, wait a minute, hold up. And so he gets out and he sees that there's a tornado about to form. And so he tells Clark, go get your mom and put her under the underpass so y'all can be safe. So then the father, then goes about and tells everybody else on the road, you know, to leave your cars and make your way to the overpass. And he does that. And so everybody's under the overpass for the most part until the mom's like, hey, the dog's in the truck. The dog got spooked, and so he was still in there. And so Martha Kent sends Clark to go get the dog. But Jonathan, the dad, said, no, I'll go get him. So now by this point, the tornado is like couple of feet away from the truck that Jonathan and the dog are in. And so the winds are really strong, and then the winds pick up a car and put it on top of the truck that Jonathan and the dog are in. And of course, you know, everybody else who sees this is freaking out, but Clark, of course, he can see. He's like, oh, he's okay. And so the dad opens the door to the truck. The dog goes and escapes. But during that whole thing, Jonathan's foot, it gets caught in the door, and it gets his foot is broken because of the impact of the car and the wind and the tornado. And so he gets out of the car, or really falls out of the car, basically. And, you know, his foot is jacked. It's turned, you know, it's broken. And he's limping, and it's obvious. And so right now, at this moment, Clark is willing to risk everything. He's willing to risk his secret just to save his father. But his father does something that just tore me up when I saw it. He held out his hand and was like, he stopped him from coming. I was like, this is not this. And so then, of course, the tornado came, took the father away. Clark is distressed, mom distressed. It's a horrible situation. So then Clark ends the memory by telling Lois that he let his father die because he trusted him, because his father was convinced that he had to wait to reveal his secret to the world. The world wasn't ready. It wasn't his time yet. Needless to say, Lois dropped the story. However, the next events created Clark's time. Zod and his little motley crew were freed because Krypton exploded, and so they were going all over the universe, you know, going to different outposts and things that Krypton had placed throughout different galaxies, but they didn't find anybody. But then when Clark found the ship, that sent off a beacon, and so now they know where Clark is. So they enter the Earth's atmosphere and they hack into the whole world's technology, and they send a message to Earth basically saying, hey, we need this man called Kal-El. He's been hiding among you. He looks like you. Send him to us, or else we'll destroy the Earth. Oh, panic and pandemonium. Okay, so Lois is now captured by the U.S. government and military because the site's manager, where she leaked the story that I told you all about earlier, the manager, he ratted her out on national TV. So Lois got snatched by the government. Gee, thanks. So now everybody knows that these aliens are hovering in their atmosphere, and nobody knows who this guy is. The government has Lois. They're questioning her, but she's not giving up her secret. And so Clark is now at a loss of what to do. And so he seeks counsel from a Catholic priest. He tells the priest basically, you know, I'm the one the invaders are looking for, but he's unsure if Zod will keep his word and leave the people of Earth alone. But the other problem is, Clark's not sure if Zod or the people of Earth can be trusted at this point. Now, at this point, the priest he's kind of scared. And he encourages him, a little fearfully, I might add. And he says, sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. The trust part comes later. That'll preach right there by itself. Sometimes you do have to take a leap of faith. Just go for it. Just go out there, and the trust part comes later. I was like, okay, he's over here preaching. So after visiting him, Clark turns himself in to the same military base where Lois is being kept and questioned. And of course, nobody trusts him. Everybody had guns pointing at him. Military tanks, nukes, bombs, everything. They're just ready to get him. And all those things have no effect on him, so. But they don't know that. And he lets them handcuff him. And he's led to where Lois is being kept. So, basically, when he's there, he has to throw decorum out the door and just be straight up with them because they're over there playing. And he's like, I can see you. I can see you. And they're just like, oh, yeah, whatever. But he's like, okay, listen. And he breaks, you know, the handcuffs, and that freaks them out. They're like, ooh. And so he basically tells them, look, I have to do what I have to do, and I have to save this planet. And the general on the other side was like, okay, well, you do what you have to do, but I have to do what I have to do as well. And I've been commanded to hand you over to Zod. And he's like, well, do what you gotta do. So let's skip ahead. Zod not only wants Clark now, Kal-El, he wants Lois too. So now they're on the ship. And Clark gives Lois a key that his father had given to him. But he signals her, shh, don't say nothing about it. Now he passes out because the atmosphere on the ship is Kryptonian and he can't handle it. Now Lois, she can handle it because she was given like a different breather to put over her so she could handle the atmosphere. I guess they thought that Clark would be able to handle it, but he couldn't handle it, so he passed out. So in his unconscious state, Zod visits him and reveals his plan to him, to turn Earth to Krypton and things like that, and asks Clark to join him. Then he asks where the Codex is. And of course, Clark's like, no, you can't have it. He refuses, and he wakes up and he finds himself bound, on like a slab, basically. And he discovers that he doesn't have any strength, and he's like a human on Earth. And that's when his blood is extracted from him. Yipes, I hate needles with a passion. Always have, always will. You won't change my mind. Go jump in a lake. Anywho, Lois Lane, on the other hand, she meets Jor-El, the father, the real father. And when she puts the key in, the key that Clark gave her in the keyhole, that's when she meets him. And she teams up with him, and he instructs her how to stop Zod, and he entrusts her to teach Clark all these things. Now, Jor-El has controlled the ship and changes the atmosphere so Clark can have his powers back. Clark breaks free, and then he comes face to face with his father. He asks him then if it was true what Zod said about the Codex. Jor-El doesn't respond to him and tells him to strike the side panel. That was an amazing scene. He just goes bam, and then the panel just, you just have to see it. It's amazing. I may post it later just so you can see it, but it's an amazing scene. He does it without question. Jor-El then says, we wanted you to learn what it meant to be human first. Oh, so now it's starting to come together. You have to learn a lesson in life first and master that before you can go to the next one, before you can go to whatever's next. Learn the lesson correctly so you can move on. When I figured that out, I was like, I'm about to take some laps. So then the father continues, so that one day, when the time was right, you could be the bridge between two peoples. Oh, goodness. He instructs Clark then to look outside of the spaceship, and Clark sees Lois' ships crashing, and Jor-El's like, you can save her. You can save them all. And there it is, purpose. He finds out what he needs to know from his father, and is flying down to save Lois and the Earth, full of purpose. It is his time now. And the rest is history. The people, they now begin to call him Superman. They start to trust him more. He fights off Zod and the crew, and he earns the trust of the people. But not the government / military all the way, because, the government, they're suspicious about any power they can't control, and Clark let them know right up front that ain't happening. And even, it was funny, the government, they tried to send a drone in and try to see where he, hung up his cape and everything. And they tried to locate him, and he was like, no, that's not happening. Now, Superman's story is an amazing story for so many reasons. And one reason I will not mention in this video, because that's a whole nother video, but I'll just drop a hint for the other video that's outside of a segment like this. What's interesting about Superman is his Jewish roots, and why he's like Moses / Jesus in a way. But like I said before, that's a whole other video. Anyway, Clark was feeling alone for 33 years because he didn't know what his purpose was. Everyone else had their place in the world, and he was still searching. What was Clark doing the entire time before finding out who he really was? He was trying to find out his purpose. He didn't give up. After leaving his home, Smallville, weeks turned to months, months turned to years, but yet he still didn't give up because he remembered what his father told him. He owed it to himself to find the reason that he was to be, even if it took his entire lifetime. In order to live, you have to not give up. That's it. It's so easy to get frustrated when everyone around you, everywhere, has a path that they're on or somewhere that they're going, and you're just there, just floating, not sure what's happening. You see people achieving things you wanted to achieve years ago, and they achieve it just like that. And it's like, man, what in the world? It's a horrible feeling. Everyone around you talking about what they want to be when they grow up, the goals they have, and you don't know what's happening. Realize this. Everyone has their time at different stages in life. Some people have it in their childhood, their teens, their 20s, their 30s, maybe even their 60s, 70s, and plus. It's our job, however, not to give up in that process. The thing that we can learn from Clark is this. Although it may seem like you don't have a place in the world, you actually do. And time will reveal itself to you if you don't give up. Like I said, in order to live, you have to not give up. Another thing we can learn from Clark, both of his fathers, he trusted them to the max. He completely trusted them. He did exactly what they said simply because he trusted them. Yes, he had questions, but that did not stop him from following instructions. Do we trust God to that capacity? Whatever he says, do it. Even if it sounds crazy. Now, I'll be honest. I struggle with that sometimes. I'll be like, God, you said what? Do what? Say what? Go where? What? Do what? You know? I'm like, God, really? You want me to do what? You want me to talk to you? I don't know. I don't know about that, God. That kind of sound. But that's not what happened with Clark. Clark asked Jarrell a question in the beginning, but Jarrell told him to do something, to strike a panel, and that was random. Sometimes God will be like, hey, go do that. You're like, what? Random stuff. He didn't answer the question at all. Like, Dad, you want me to do what? No, but what did Clark do? He did exactly what his father said. And then Jarrell answered him. Clark found out why Jarrell made him do what he wanted him to do. Lois was about to die. So you can learn this right here. Behind instructions lies your destiny, his purpose to help to save people. Our obedience to instructions can not only save your life, but the lives of other people too. And maybe that's something that we need to start doing. God says, do it, we do it. And then ask later why he wanted us to do it. If we do what he says, our purpose, your purpose becomes closer to you. You're one step closer to your purpose. Not following instructions, that's what puts your purpose at bay. Another thing, Clark saw a need that he could fulfill, a need that nobody else could do. Dr. Stevenson of All Nations Chicago Church, bless it, he says, great men and women are born in the time they are needed the most. And that is so true. You are needed for this particular time. When is it? When the time is right. But the thing is, you've got to be patient. Your time is coming. When you see a need and you know for a fact that you can meet that need, your time has come. The key is waiting, though, for the right time and not being discouraged while you wait. The word says there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and even a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. Go down a little further in that same vein. It says, he has made everything beautiful in its time. Say it again. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Ecclesiastes 3:11. Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. For such a time as this. Guys, I'm just going to be so real. Time is not cool. Especially in the time that we're living in, because we want everything now. We want to accomplish things now. We want to do everything now. We want to be successful now. But it doesn't work like that. Especially if you have a call on your life and there's some things that God wants you to learn first. You got to go through the process. You got to go through the process. Like the scripture said, there's a time for everything. There's a time to learn something. There's a time to take what you learn and apply it. Then there's a time to learn something else. But don't be discouraged when you see everybody else around you, doing things and you're not doing anything. It's just not your time yet. Don't get jealous, don't get the green monster and all that stuff. Your time is coming. And when it comes, it's going to blow your mind. Because usually, this is what I've learned. When God is holding something back from you, he knows you're not ready for it yet. And so that means there's some maturing that you have to do on the inside. It may be something on the outside too, but mainly on the inside, there's some maturing you have to do. And in that maturing time, you got to wait. But also while you wait, you have to wait correctly. Don't wait and complain. Be like, man, God's blessing everybody but me. It ain't fair. How she get all this stuff and how he do all this and he didn't even do nothing. He bad anyway. She bad anyway. I bet she did this to get that. I bet no, that's not the way to wait. Your time will be prolonged. All that complaining, it does nothing for you. If anything, it hurts you. So, in your waiting process, please, in the waiting process, be encouraged. Read scriptures. Find inspiration. Find songs. Find something to help you keep going, keep pushing, keep pressing. Because if you want to live, you have to not give up. And you already know that you are here on this earth for a reason. And whatever that reason is, it's amazing. And just because you don't know what it is yet doesn't mean it's not monumental. So treat it like it's monumental now. Be like, man, God has not revealed exactly what I'm really supposed to do, but I know it's something because the Bible says it's something. Everybody's put here on this earth for a reason. You may be here just to smile at somebody who's having a bad day. You may be here to, be encouraging to a young mother. You may be here on this earth to find out the cure for cancer. You may be here on this earth to, just show somebody what it's like to be a friend. You could be here on this earth to show everybody who Jesus is. You don't know who you're going to touch. You don't know who you're going to come in contact with that's going to be able to see the light that's within inside of you. So, while you're waiting for your time, be encouraged. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. You can do this. I believe in you. Surround yourself with people that believe in you too. Don't surround yourself with people in your waiting process that totally agree with you. When you complain, that's not going to help either. You need to have people around you that build you up and that encourage you too. You're like, hey, your greater is coming, sis. Your greater is coming, bro. Don't worry about it. God's got this. God fight your battles. You know, you're already covered in the blood. You need people around you who are constantly uplifting you and telling you who you are before you even become it, because you already are. And don't say things like, well, I guess God is working. No, God's not working. He's already finished. It is finished already. It is done, my brother. It is done, my sister. It is finished. It's just a matter of time. When the time is right. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. I hope you've encouraged. I hope that, you feel a little bit better today about being in a waiting process. Next week, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to talk about, because I never know. That's just how it is. I never know until God's like, hey, last minute, boom, here it is. So I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, but this week, this one really got to me, because I mean, let's just be real. I'm pushing 30, and there's a lot of things that in my life that I wanted to do that I haven't done yet. And at certain times, I'm like, man, did I miss my time? What's going on? People younger than me doing this when I wanted to do that, and then God was like, no, you didn't miss your time. It hasn't happened yet. I was like, oh. And it was like what people say, age is just a number. And so God was like, age is just a number. Blank, blank, blank. I was like, oh. Help me, Jesus. But yeah, there it is. So that's the end. And before I end all of this, I'm gonna do the spoken word piece again, like I do always at the end. And for those who missed it, and it's called Palpitate Test. And it's funny, I forgot to mention this earlier. I wrote this last year, March 1st of last year, and it's so funny because it's relevant to now. And basically what this spoken word piece is about a time where I was going through different tests and things. It was like one thing after the other. It was just back to back to back to back. I was like, oh, another test. Okay, well, I finished that. Oh, another I'll look up another test. Great, another test. And so I wrote this particular piece concerning that, because at the time I was going a little crazy. I was like, what is going on? How long is this going to happen? What is the purpose of this? Why is this happening? What for? What time will it stop? I was about to go nuts. But then my mentor was like, hey, you're a writer. You write about this. And then you write the answer to it. I was like, how am I supposed to write the answer? He said, write what God said. I was like, okay. So that's where this inspiration came from. And I really do hope that it helps you, because it definitely helped me. Because after I went through it, my mentor was like, after you write it, read it out loud and set the atmosphere and, talk to your spirit man and everything. And I was like, what? That's good. And it actually worked. I was like, oh my gosh. So this particular piece is called Palpitate Test. Pitter patter goes your heart through a test. Will this ever end? Will you ever get rest? One question after another. Did you study? You thought you did. But then another question comes and slaps you on the head. Wait, didn't you just find the answer to pain and pressure? What's going on? Not sure. Clearly, the test isn't over for you yet. So stand strong. Your needs will be met. in time, all will be revealed. Get ready. You're about to be healed. Get ready. You're about to be free. Get ready. You're about to get the victory. Get ready. You're about to pass. Get ready. This pain you feel, it won't last. The word says, my peace, my peace I give unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John 14:27. Don't you see that? You've got help personally from heaven. Don't give up, and don't you fear. The mess you're going through, it's about to get out of here. Romans 8:28. Man. So guys, be encouraged today. Be encouraged. When your time is here, it's here, and nothing can stop it. But until it comes, be encouraged. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep praying. Keep worshiping. Keep singing. Keep getting uplifted by friends and family. Encourage yourself. All those things. And when your time is here, like I said, your time is here. Can't nobody stop it. Can't nobody stop it when it's your time. And when God says it's time, it's your time. Sorry, enemies. Sorry, haters. My time is here. Bye. Ain't got time for all that. So, I am going to pray us out. But before I do, I'm going to say hello to some people on here. And I'm also going to extend this time to see if anybody has any prayer requests or anything like that. So let me see who's on here. Oh, hi, Mom. My mom's on here. Hey, Mom. Oh, hi, Miss April. Oh, hey, Pablo. Hey, Lorenzo. Hey, Cuz. Hey, Tasha. Hey, India. Sierra. Hey, Sharonda. Hey, Cuz. Miss Regina's watching. Yeah, okay. Hey, Maya. Miss Toy. Hi, Miss Toy. Okay. If anybody has prayer requests or anything, you could just wave at me or something. But if not, I'll pray in a few minutes. Or in a couple of seconds, rather. Okay, well, I am going to pray and seal this whole thing. Dear God, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything, Lord, that you have ever done for us. The things that you've done in the past, the things that you're doing presently, and the things that we will see you do for us in the future. But it's already done. You're not working on anything. It's just done. It is finished. It's complete. And when our time comes, our time comes. But Lord, if our time has not come yet, help us, Lord, to be patient. Help us, Lord, to wait. Help us, Lord, to hone our gifts and our talents for you. And Lord, help us, oh God, to remember that obedience is better than sacrifice. Help us, oh God, to remember that you love us. Help us, oh God, to remember that you're always there with us and for us, and that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. I thank you, oh Lord, for everyone who is listening now, and I thank you for those who will listen later, and I thank you for the healing that is taking place. I thank you, oh God, for the freedom that is taking place. I thank you, oh God, for the peace that is taking place. And I thank you, oh God, for the spirit of patience and waiting that is taking place, oh God. And Lord, just thank you for this day. I thank you for everyone listening. Bless them financially, bless them emotionally, bless them spiritually, and Lord, and bless them with material blessings as well, oh Lord. And Lord, I pray if anybody has a specific prayer request, oh Lord, I pray it is so, and so it is. It is already met. It's already done. It's complete. And there just has to wait for the manifestation of it. And Lord, I pray if anybody's not feeling well, I pray that you'll heal their bodies quickly, Lord. And I pray, oh God, that everyone will be a good witness, oh God, for you. And just help us, Lord, because you know we need your help. And on the days that we feel that things are impossible, help us to remember that all things are possible through you. Thank you for your love and everything else that you've given us, Lord. In Jesus' name, I do pray. Amen. I slick almost forgot y'all were there and went into a really deep prayer. That's what happens when you pray. All right, so saints, be blessed. Have a great rest of the week. Share the video, share the video, share the video. And see you guys next week. Bye-bye.